Boom, and welcome back, everybody, to another wonderful, amazing, out of this world episode of Kaleidospoke. It's myself, Aaron, and the insightful, amazing Richie Rich joining us. How you doing, sir?
All is well. Thank you very much. Everything is dandy lions.
You know, I got to work on like the intros because I feel like my intros are like, oh yes, the same. It's another episode. But like, maybe it's gonna be like, this is the spellbinding, most amazing episode of all time. You better like and subscribe and buy all the merch.
There's no doubt that this one is the best one ever.
Yes, and each and every one after this will only get better. So if you haven't already, follow us on our Instagram. Check us out, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. I think we're on all of them. So, go check us out. Leave a review. Tell your friends. Tell your mum. Tell your uncle. Tell your granddad. Tell everybody. So yeah, man, we're back, and I think after a series of like quite a few guests, it's good to be able to just speak to you one-on-one again. So in this episode, we're going to be discussing issues of a worldly manner, and I think we'll start with micro, then we're going to get a little bit medium, and then we'll go macro. So in our first topic is pertinent. We're at the time where it seems like the horizon is near. We can see the horizon, and lockdown is about to come to an end. We're about to be out all over again. Restaurants. I'm not sure about bars, but at least the pub during the day. But one area that is still up for debate and potentially might be up for debate for pretty much most of the year is travel. So welcome to the age of vaccine passports. Vaccine passports. Mr. Rich, are you going to be getting a vaccine passport?
Yeah, this is a funny question. I mean, in the midst of 2020, there was a lot of sort of tension and debate around the vaccine and the efficacy of it, because it's just, it's just been very, very quick. Like there's been this is like a first. No vaccine has been sort of released and approved this quickly. And so there's a lot of sort of apprehension in the masses around taking this vaccine. And then comes the question of, okay, well, I don't want to take it. And then, and given that all all the countries have been locked down and everything, the world's been locked down, it puts us in a situation, and now the vaccine's getting rolled out, puts us in a situation of, if you don't have it, you can't travel. Like, I don't think if everybody's taken, or if you have 50% of people taking a vaccine, surely they're going to be put out if, they're sharing a room or sharing a plane or sharing a coach with people that have not had the vaccine. And then there's this whole, the government needs to err on a side of caution, which many countries and many governments have been sort of put, their feet to the fire and sort of been held accountable for moving too slow. So all this to say, I've been convinced. I'll be willing to take a vaccine. Look, the Dalai Lama took the vaccine the other day. The Dalai Lama's taken a vaccine, and the Queen took the vaccine, and all these other sort of like big sort of names. Then surely, I can take it. And one thing is, my nan took it, she's still okay. My mum's took it, she's still okay. So I don't mind taking the vaccine. I have no sort of quibbles, because I feel with the time has gone, at least, and there's no immediate side effects. Questions still around, potential medium and long term effects. Like you just never know. So I my apprehension is kind of abated, and I feel it's an interesting debate because, as I say, not everybody would want to jump on a plane with people that haven't been vaccinated because people might feel a bit, put out. And so you got companies and business that want to open up, and they're forced in a corner. Really, they're saying, look, you take safety first, and we'll let you run the business, or let you run your countries, or open up the borders. And so, our hands are sort of forced, really.
Sure. Sure. I also think that, we got quite used to a lifestyle pre-COVID, right? Like being able to travel to Spain or Amsterdam or Greece on a whim, very cheaply as well. So the idea that that you wouldn't be able to travel unless you got a vaccine, and then B, this vaccine passport, which I'll go on to explain, it seems like a relatively small sacrifice to make, right? Like, fine, just give me the vaccine so that I can, head off to Greece, and the idea of, if you don't take the vaccine, you still might be able to travel, but then what are the kind of expenses and bureaucracy that comes with that? So it might just be like, actually, this is the clear winner. I'll just take the vaccine. So to explain a little bit further what the vaccine passport is about. So basically, the International Air Transport Association, they've launched effectively an app, right? Which they describe as the way forward in people kind of returning back to international travel. And actually, I think it was today, which I'm not sure what the day is when you're listening to it, but today, I think Thailand, they effectively approved all proposals for this app, effectively, which is the kind of vaccine passport, which is an app. So it's really quite interesting, because on this app, it's effectively proposing that anybody's data in regards to COVID related issues can be accessed by not only the border patrol at whatever country, but it can also be accessed by the airlines. So this information they'll be privy to, and effectively it will allow them to determine whether or not you're fit to fly. So, at first this is, kind of offered by, this particular app is offered by the overall regulator of the sky. But it's not to say that there won't be like businesses and innovators that will not be able to offer a similar, if not better app. This is still pretty much in the beta testing stage. So, things are likely to change as to who will be the main provider or the organization that rolls this out internationally. But it does bring about a few questions, right? So the vaccine itself, for us in the UK, we were the first to adopt the vaccine and administer a vaccine in this whole pandemic saga. But there's still a ton of countries that don't necessarily are not necessarily able to roll out the vaccine nationally. So it might create like a kind of like some type of inequality.
Inequality,
yeah, like an inequality of people that can travel, and we're still finding new strains now. So again, like there's still quite a lot of things that need to be worked out. But like given that Thailand did it today, I mean, you could see that the countries that are super reliant on tourism are going to be really bullish on this. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yes, we need this vaccine passport, digital pass to come ahead now, because we've been suffering because we actually live off of tourism. So You can see there'll be if there are any countries that are against it, which I don't think there will be any. I think it would solely depend on like how much they require tourism in their country to flourish.
I mean, all of these things are very. I remember in reading something in the news around middle of July or middle of 2020, around July, maybe no, actually could have been May. Anyway, so in China they had this food delivery company which was still delivering food during lockdown, but then they decided to I think connect to their driver's smartwatch or something like that to display the customer's temperature. And if they were, if they're showing signs of like, being over temperature or hot, then that would, be a warning. But just to give that sort of that peace of mind. And there was a whole sort of bits of debate around sort of this track and trace and private data and privacy and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's they're fair arguments. They're fair arguments. I mean, my sort of default position today is we are, this is the world. This is the new world. You kind of have to. It is what it is, almost, right? But you do have those staunch people who are like, no, this is like, my privacy rights. I want to know like where my data's going, and I don't want everyone to have my data. And so when all these passports are coming around, all these track and trace apps, etc., are sort of flying about, there is a question of your data. Where is it going? Who knows about you? Which is a scary thing because people are skeptical, right? This data can travel all around the world and you have no clue.
Sure. Sold many times over, in which you get nothing but calls telling you that you've been in some type of accident. Look, man, I think ultimately it will boil down to whether or not people's principles surrounding concepts like privacy will trump their desire to travel or to eat in restaurants. And I think in 8 out of 10 cases, most people would pretty much give up their privacy, potentially put themselves as a health experiment in order to travel. I'm in that group. No, to give me the vaccine. I'm trying to get out of here. So, so it all boils down to the thing that you desire, how much are you willing to sacrifice for it? And I think in terms of our lifestyles, we're pretty willing to sacrifice most things. Do you know what I mean? It's like, vaccine, yeah.
Especially, right? Like, if you think about 2020, it was a year of lockdown. We was almost under house arrest, almost to that degree. So freedom now feels like the value's gone up. The value of freedom's gone up ever since going through this rigmarole. So the conspiracists out there would say, hey, this is a part of this, like, this whole new world order to control people, and you can understand why that narrative will be, right? The anti sort of establishments sort of groups would say, look, they're trying to control us.
Sure.
I mean, it could be the case.
It's not even, in my opinion, it's not even could be the case. It is the case. But, and here is the huge but, I do want to go to restaurants. I do want to get on a plane. So, all right, well, you can take my data for free. Go on, have it. It's out there anyway. Potentially you can give me a jab in the arm. I'm going to die anyway, worst case. It's okay. But don't take my holiday away. And not only don't take my holiday away, remember, well, for us in the UK, I don't know where everyone's listening from, in the summertime when things opened up a little bit, we had that NHS track and trace app. Did you manage to download it?
Yes, I was forced to download it a couple of times when I went to some restaurants.
So me too. And you know what? Did you know how I felt when I downloaded it?
Free?
No. Yeah. I didn't care. I was like, yeah, trace me. I don't care. I just want to eat food. I know, man. Who cares, you know? And that's it. Like it's like a battle of principle. This whole privacy thing is a battle of principle. It's not actually
Mm,
a physical, or yeah, it's like a metaphorical battle. Do you know what I mean? And
mm,
I think the vaccine is less of a metaphorical battle. That is more of like, what am I putting into my, or what is coming into my body? And
mm.
I think for many people it's worth considering. But I think there's a good chance that I'm not sure, maybe in the next month or so, the people who have taken the vaccine, they should be ready for their second dose, right?
Yeah, I think yeah, people have taken a second dose already. I think my nan has.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. And then when this vaccine passport kicks in, like let's see the time parallels, and then we'll
Mm,
see, okay, actually taking this vaccine to go on holiday in December, which might be the next time, I don't know, we'll be able to travel quite freely. Um, we would have had the whole year to see like how these vaccines played out. And we might be like, okay, well, you know, it seemed to work out at home, so I'll take the
yeah,
risk.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think the UK government has said for June. I think international travel can sort of open up and continue. I think, or the earliest is June. So um, that's the hope. People are booking holidays already to Magaluf and Cyprus and what have you.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's on the cards. And I think again, it goes down to um, that point about the inequality is quite a serious topic, and one that should be that these countries should consider, because there is already beef happening with EU, UK,
Mm, mhm,
Australia about the speed in which the vaccines are coming.
mhm,
And these are the big countries, right? What
mhm.
about the small countries? They're definitely, you know, whether or not they get them this year, I'm not too sure, but it's definitely a consideration.
Yeah. And again, like a lot of those kind of, not necessarily small, but like, and I've got inverted comma fingers, developing countries, they rely a lot on tourism. Do you know what I mean? So, you know,
Mm,
it's gonna be not only a race to get their citizens into this kind of vaccine passport initiative, but to get the vaccine out there so that tourists feel comfortable coming there too. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
But then obviously the numbers have to match. And
mm,
if those numbers don't match, then you might see a shift in which places people actually end up wanting to go over the next 5-10 years. You know, like
mm,
there might be some countries that people no longer visit in the same frequency that they did pre-COVID.
mm,
Um, so we'll have to see how that pans out. I'm pretty sure that the states probably received slightly less visitors than it would when Donald Trump was in power. Um, I think as well, given the state of its COVID situation, I think that is likely to continue for a little while. You know,
mm,
people
mm.
will probably try to avoid it unless it's business, which is a huge reason to go, of course. But like,
Yeah.
um, I think the states is one of those countries that are likely to, um, you know, receive a lot less tourism. If I'm honest,
Yeah, but I guess the states are not really banking on tourism per
no,
se.
no, no, no.
You do have the likes, as you say, as you mentioned earlier, Thailand, where I don't know what percentage, but and other countries where the percentage of tourism to their GDP, or the contribution of tourism to their GDP, is like 50%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Caribbean islands, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of eyes on the vaccine rollouts and the sort of the travel sort of bans and permissions. So
Yeah.
watch your space. But I'm all in. Vaccine passport, here I come. Book me in.
All the
I'm off.
data, all the data, just take it all. It's all out there for you.
Take it. It's there anyway. Just make sure it's secure.
But well, yeah, do your best. Do your best. Speaking of data, it's kind of in the next topic. We're talking about, if the world was hacked, what does that look like? Like, and where are we in that kind of process? So at the beginning of 2020, there were almost like 3 million employees that dealt with cybersecurity. So 3 million jobs globally dealing in cybersecurity. And there was a call for an extra 6 million jobs by the end of the year. So that was to kind of like bridge the skills gap. So, as things move further and further into the internet kind of atmosphere, you could see that the jobs regarding cybersecurity, that's going to rise. So, imagine if this goes wrong. Imagine if, things get hacked, and they do all the time. Hacks happen all the time. But the further we move into a more digital world, the more serious these hacks could end up being. One of the interesting things that I learned in a course was that for drones, let's say, if you have like a drone that you play with, what it requires for its GPS is 4 satellites for like a 3D position fix. And actually, all of our phones, everything that uses GPS, they are governed by 32 satellites orbiting the world. They're not all on at the same time all the time, but they are required for our GPS 3D mapping. So imagine if more than one of those got hacked, and GPS goes down. This is not simply, as easy as, I can't find my way on Google Maps anymore. You're talking about planes. You're talking about all,
Cars,
submarines.
like when they're autonomous. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that as well. But, we rely on everything working. And when it doesn't, or when somebody corrupts it for some malicious intent, I think we're quite unaware, on the whole, of as to how badly it can affect our lives. So, yeah, man, look, bro, imagine if there was a world, this world, if like all the financial markets got hacked at the same time. What would happen in that scenario, do you think?
Ooh. Well, after this being hacked today, from my crypto wallet got hacked. It was a very painful thing, and I imagine the world would be in pain. There'll be shock, there'll be horror, people will be scrambling, and no one will know what to do. It's crazy, and I think, of course, there's ways to protect this from happening, but as you say, and as you alluded to, more and more we're getting more reliant, or we are ever reliant on technology, and so the stakes are higher year on year. And you might have your Amazons, having various different data warehouses, very, very, very high security, and that's what they sort of they spend a bunch of money on to ensure that they're secure, and they need that security in order to get big contracts and certifications and build trust or whatever. But it happens, and as you kind of you mentioned sort of the planes and drones, but I was just thinking Tesla, right? Tesla now, to get a car service, you don't even need to take it into the garage, or I'll say don't need to take it to the garage. I think for updates, they do it over the air, right? So they can send an update to your car, which makes it go run more economical, or what have you, and that's it. It's all done. They'll charge a bit of money for that. So there's an ability to communicate to your car from anywhere. So imagine the ability for a hacker to just hack the car and either take it or, you know, screw about with it when you're driving. Like these things are real. The Internet of Things, you know, all the more we're all connected, the more the more of a shock it would be. Yeah, the world will stop.
Yeah,
we can't. We don't have the innate sort of ability these generations anyway to just get by without. We probably will, but it would be a big shock, you know, to get by without technology.
Sure. It would be super dark. It would be super dark.
Very.
You know, I think of some movies. There's a ton of movies that come to mind when think about hacking, like some, you know, systems. Now I know that I just said I think of some movies. I can't remember the name of this movie, but I do remember, like they had like they had like the city mainframe and they hacked it, so they started like you know, messing about with the traffic lights all around the city, and there was crashes everywhere. It stopped the city, you know, so that they were able to carry out whatever they were trying to carry out, you know, whether it was just a threat. But, you know, in those scenarios, those kind of like movie-like scenarios, that's how, you know, heists happen. You know, like you know, something goes down. Oh, what happened? You know, oh wow, the whole bank got robbed. So yeah, man, it's our ever dependency on technology that is also kind of making us susceptible to these hacks, and then after that weakness, you know, like a kind of displacement. It's like, oh, you know, dude, what do we do? I liked your example with Tesla, because, you know, as the automotive market is moving on, we're definitely moving towards like autonomous vehicles, and more than likely some type of grid in which all these autonomous vehicles work on and around. Now that seems to me like the clearest opportunity for a hacker to, you know, take control of a city or a country or whatever. Because, you know, if these autonomous vehicles work on some type of grid and the grid somehow gets compromised, then, you know, effectively everybody who is in these cars at the time, you know, they're not in control anyway. You know, it puts them in a really kind of susceptible position where, you know, they're pretty much willing to agree anything if they're not already crashing and dying, you know. And yeah, like you said, you know, as we get more reliant on these things, it's almost like you will forget the skills. So imagine 100 years down the line, you know, autonomous vehicles have been going on for 80 years, maybe 70. The last people that knew how to drive are coming to an end, and they're probably outlawed from driving anyway. You know, what happens if the grid gets hacked then? You know, nobody knows how to take control of the car. And it's almost like, oh, you've become at the mercy of these hackers. So in a weird kind of roundabout way, hackers, it's almost as if like to be a hacker is almost to have a job with the most power. This particular skill actually is increasing in power over time, and this is why when people do end up going for like these high kind of cybersecurity jobs, they're usually kind of like they're usually ex-hackers that probably hacked something successfully, and then they might have had to do a little slap on the wrist to sit down for a little bit, but then they get recruited by like, you know, like government agencies, because actually I think they recognize the importance of hackers and people that can control systems kind of on their own, you know. So it's wild, like the idea that the world gets hacked. Oh, that's probably scarier than COVID, You know, like that's scary, man. Imagine nothing means anything anymore. You've bought your house, but the everything got hacked, so it doesn't matter. It's not your house anymore. It's anyone's house. So whoever's got the guns, it can really descend pretty quick if somebody wanted this to all turn into chaos.
Yeah, yeah. I can see people, who are really, really kind of dubious of this stuff, just keeping hard copies of paperwork and what have you locked up in a case or a safe. But yeah, you know what? One of the interesting hacks that happened recently was, I think, SolarWinds, which was an American company. And it was so interesting how that all transpired because I think it's something what they call a supply chain hack. And what that is the hacker is able to get into one of the softwares that was being used more widely. So just for example, it's Microsoft Office, and the hacker gets into Microsoft's database and plants this virus or this malware into the Microsoft Office software update. And then when this software update is sort of distributed to new companies, what have you, it's within that update. So you're just clicking, saying, okay, it's the latest update. Let me just click and update. And actually, there's something in there which is malware, which allows, these hackers to just extract data at will. And so the thing with that hack was that I think it went on for a good amount of months before it was actually found. And so within that time, and it was a high profile thing as well, as I think as a government breach. So in that sort of period of time, the hackers is just reveling in data and other stuff. And so it's those kind of things where it's like nowhere's safe. Like, we have to rely on these big companies, these big sort of cybersecurity companies to keep things going, keep things safe. Otherwise, it could be a wrong link that you click or a wrong website that you land on, and it just takes that, and your shit's effed. So it's super scary.
Yeah. And you see it all the time. It comes to your phone. I think I got one the other day, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna entertain myself. So I had a message saying, it was a voicemail, and it said to me, you've been contacted by the HMRC, and we've put a warrant out for your arrest. Please, please call this number back. And I'm thinking, number one, HMRC are not gonna. They wouldn't arrest me. I've got nothing, no reason for them to arrest me. But number two, they'd probably just send the police if that was the case. Why would they warn me?
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, let me ring them back. Yeah. So I rang them back. So this is a really it's not really even a hack, but it is almost like kind of what we was talking about before. Data being sold, which is, fine, I might have given up this data, but there's a lot of people that haven't given up their data. Their data has been hacked, and now they're on some list somewhere. Anyway, so I rang it back. I was like, hello, and the lady was like, hello. She didn't even say who it was.
Oh, okay.
Say to me. I said, hello. She said, yes, who is this? I said, you're supposed to know who it is. She's like,
no way.
She's like, could you give me your name? And I was like, no. And she was like, and then she put the phone down.
Wow.
And I was just thinking, you know what? There are millions of people out there that would have been scared at that point. You get a voicemail telling that there's a warrant out for your arrest. I mean, luckily enough for me, I've been in sticky situations in my life where it's like, they come. But, but like for some people, they would hear that and panic and give over info and send money and all sorts. And it's almost
so
like,
imagine,
yeah.
So imagine, like, I don't know what that woman was thinking, but imagine what she was thinking. Like, would it be a case of if you were someone else and you called up and you blurted out all this information about what you received, then she'll click into mode and start sort of, she'll gather a pen and be like, okay, yeah. So what do you have to do now is send like £1,000 to this account.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Bro, bro. People,
She might have been out shopping, walking around in Sainsbury's, and then she gets this phone call, and then like she's a bit off guard. But if someone was like, off point, she might be like, yes, and now you have to send £1,000 to this account. Send it.
And what if it was somebody who did owe HMRC some money? It's almost like they're shooting in a barrel of fish, and they're gonna hit something. Do you know what I mean? So and then it makes you question who's buying all this data. Of course, places like this would buy the data because it's highly valuable to them. Yeah. I'm not saying they're the main purchaser of data, but I would say that it's a value to them too. So I know we're kind of moving away from hacking, but it's all kind of within that realm of data and the Skynet almost. Yeah, you're kind of like it gets to a point where you're relying on it to work. I'm relying on this Wi-Fi to work so that we could have this podcast. I'm relying on my phone to work so that I can go to work. If it turns off, then
Say what?
I'm gonna turn it off and on again, see if it comes back on. I'm gonna try that 3 times. It's like, bro, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but everything's mad. I can't see my brain. Crazy. What's going on? I'm dying. People dying of like heart palpitations because they can't access Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Can't see the latest Instagram post.
Yeah. Crazy. Oh, okay, all right. So still kind of, less hacker, but in the system. When we went to Colombia and we was on that island, and it's like you couldn't do any of that. Not really. There wasn't none of it. Like you weren't getting power, and there was no Wi-Fi really. I think the value of those types of experiences that's also increasing. Where you can actually plug out and be like, all right, how can I navigate without all this stuff, all these kind of like assistants? How do I navigate without it? Because there could be a day where, all my assistants are gone. I don't want to be helpless, So it's recommendable to do that, yeah.
Yeah, just, to take yourself into the forest and try to forage up some mushrooms, berries, whatever you can find, Yeah, get out of the old compass and or sundial, whatever it is.
You just have to put your finger in the sky. You're like, okay, the wind is blowing this way. The sun is about yay high. Must be about 12 o'clock.
So I'm going to cook up a lunch, and then you get 2 sticks, rub them together.
Mm-hmm.
Old school. That's like Boy Scouts, right? I mean, I think I didn't go to Boy Scouts, but that'd be something that you.
Yeah. And that's the whole reason behind these things, right? Like, suppose everything goes ground zero, and I think that's always been like a concept that we've had, right? That's why zombie movies exist, because there's this concept that maybe one day everything will go to shit, and we have to start again. And these are the very basics in starting again, starting a fire, being able to navigate. All these are kind of the basic things. So, and as time is going on, I've not taught my son to do any of those things. I don't really know. I don't know how to start a fire without a lighter. Are you crazy? So, like, I think it's getting easier to bring the world to ground zero. It seems as if it's easier. I feel we had a tiny taste of it with COVID. If the world got hacked, I think that would be the big taste of it.
It's true. I think in the midst of COVID, when all the sort of supply chain stopped, and there was mad sort of chaos at the supermarkets for bread and wheat and flour, people were sort of hoarding and making bread. I think bread maker searches went up like 10x purely for the fact that bread wasn't being made. So yeah, as you say, it was a taste of probably what we might see at some point in our lifetimes.
Maybe, and both of us, we're survived by children. So they are, if they're likely to see some stuff, man. And maybe when they're old enough, we could talk about, ground zero tactics. It'd be like, look, I know you like your dog or your cat, but ground zero tactics, this is how you have to chop them up. This is how you cook them. You take off the fur. You worm them. You gut them. This is ground zero tactics.
Wow.
As I said, they got to be a little bit older. Yeah, man. All right, so on to our final subject. We're going to talk about like our place in space. So everything today is surrounding pretty much like us, and then from micro to macro. And when we think about our place in space, that is super macro, because our concept of space is so vast. It's huge. I think in our galaxy alone, there are 100 billion stars. Do you know what I mean? And to think that our solar system consists of 8 planets, revolves around one star, the sun, which is not the biggest star in our galaxy. I also looked up as well. Apparently, in our galaxy as well, there are 6 billion Earth-like planets.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. That's like, dude, 6 billion Earth-like planets. So like, what are you saying? That there's just bare aliens everywhere. So yeah, man, it's like we're in this huge kind of life tapestry, and to kind of like work out how big it is so far beyond us, which also kind of, in a way, is quite refreshing when you think about, your life, your own problems. It's a great it's a great idea to kind of put things in perspective, like everything, you're very small, like, and even in terms of the time of existence or Earth's existence or human existence, it's really, really, really tiny, like, and so it really, for me at least, it really helps me think, oh, this problem that I'm having right now is insignificant. I'm gonna have to deal with it, but I shouldn't let it get to me, a lot, because actually, this is all quite small stuff. So, yeah. All right. So given that there's 6 billion estimated, by the way, 6 billion Earth-like planets in our galaxy, aliens, bro, dropped mic. What are you saying?
What about them? I'm not one.
Oh, that was the question.
No, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think we had a conversation about this a few weeks ago, and we might have touched on it on another episode, but the sheer fact that, our sun, which is a star, that's like, I think there's one that's like 1,700 times bigger than our sun. And so it really does put things into perspective, because I thought our sun was like, the bee's knees. I thought, of course, like, we revolve around the sun. So to think that there's billions of other suns, and, I'm sure that must have it, its own atmosphere, and things must revolve around that as well. So it's just crazy. And then the whole thing of, our Milky Way, that's our galaxy. But then there's, I don't know how many galaxies in our universe.
Yeah.
And then there's multiple universes that it is like mind blown, like, shut the front door. Like, what are you talking about?
Definitely. It's like, what?
And then these things are not even around the corner. Like, they're light years away. And then I was looking up, like, what is a light year? And basically 1 light minute is 11.1 million miles. Like, what the hell? That's not even a number.
That's not even a number.
That's not even a number. Like, you cannot even get a Concorde to take you there. Like, that's going to take ages.
Yeah.
And so, although that's one second. So actually, the sun to Earth, the distance between our sun and Earth is 8.3 light minutes away, which is 90 million miles. It's just crazy.
Mhm.
Like, you know, so we want to go to Mars. That's fine. But, you know, there's they're the universe is big. So yeah, of course, aliens are there, and it'll be great to meet one day.
Sure.
If they don't eat us. But we're just getting on. We're on our little planet,
Yeah.
and we're destroying it day on day.
Sure.
And you know, the dinosaurs were here. They had fun. You know, it's transient. It's transient. It's a beautiful thing that we can sort of look up into the stars and think, wow, you know, what else is out there?
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful.
I honestly think that, and this is random, but I think it's probably true. I think that humans or a species from Earth has traveled to another planet and has attempted to live there. And I think many species of a planet, especially if they grow at the rate of like humanity, probably bigger, like say bacteria even. Because I think what is it? Fungus tends to go interplanetary. So you know, there's many life forms that travel amongst our galaxy, our universes, and our planets. And I honestly think that, man, like our concept of aliens is so like Hollywood. Do you know what I mean? We got a Hollywood concept of aliens. We don't. I bet I can't put money on it, obviously, and you know, until someone would show me what one looks like. But I bet they don't. I bet there'll be some aliens that look pretty much like us. Pretty much like us, you know. Like, I think there'll be all different types of, you know, species out there. Even some bacteria, you know, under a microscope, it would look crazy. But then, kind of bringing it back, when you see the life on this planet, it's already crazy. Have you seen an octopus? Have you seen an octopus? What is that? like imagine a planet full of those things. They are fully aliens, 100% aliens.
It's true. It's true. I swear you like eating octopus.
I love them, bro. I'll eat all of them. I'll go to that planet. I'll colonize them. Take their mums and dads, eat them all.
Just you wait until their uncles and cousins start coming down for you.
Apparently,
they'll be like, "Hey."
Yeah, apparently, they're super intelligent as well. Yeah, problematic, but you know.
They're sending signals right now.
Yeah. And another crazy thing is when I think of like, so again, it's like hard to picture size because, you know, I can picture London as a size. Yeah. It gets a bit more difficult to picture the UK as a size. And then it gets even more difficult to picture Europe as a size. And then the Earth again as a size. When you think of black holes eating stars, like regularly, they eat them, they swallow them. You know, it's like these things get swallowed by black holes, and the black holes are up there in the sky. Like you see the sky when you look up there are black holes up there, and it just makes you think. Look, this is all life. This is all life.
Yeah.
You know, like just because it's not human life, it don't mean it's life. It's alive. You know, we're all pretty much, you know, stardust anyway. Do you know what I mean? So it is just highly fascinating. I imagine, you know, people study this all their lives. I mean, not imagine, people do study this all their lives. And I can imagine going to NASA for one day and being able to look at some files, not even secret files, just any files, probably go on NASA's website and just be like, wow, like super mind blown. Like, oh my God, really? You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it like you know, I think I'm not sure if we have multiple black holes, but I know there's one black hole in the middle of our universe, our cosmos, which has this huge gravitational pull, and as you say, things just get sucked up into there. And like, where does it go? Where does it go?
all these questions, the answers that we just could never think about. You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, oh mate.
But that's the great thing about being alive. You get the opportunity to ponder on these things and wonder, and that's the great thing, because our imaginations can take us to wherever we want, and you know, and these facts and these discoveries that we're making help shape our imagination. Like all these films that come out are close to, well, our imagination, but it could be pretty damn close to what's out there. You know, the hacks,
Sure.
the films about the hacks, you know, that is an event that can and will happen, does happen on a smaller scale, but not with the sort of like Hollywood style. And these sort of like, you know, Star Treks and Star Wars, you know, you can only imagine, right? If you look up and think, wow, what else is happening out there? Yeah. It's you can only think that stuff like this is happening. Why not? Why couldn't it be?
Sure. It's boundless.
We're light years away. We don't even know.
No, we've got no idea. And to think, right? To think, this is the other thing with light years and distance and time. If something happened, you know, like say like 10 light years away, we wouldn't see it until it transmitted its light to us. So that would take how many years? Like, so we witnessing events that happened years and years ago, you know? So that's the other thing. We're not in real, like, it's like the time isn't it's not real time. It's not like a TV and it's happening at that time. It's like, it's taking time to kind of like show its light to you. So then you can then be like, okay, well, that happened. So a lot of these events that scientists, astrophysicists are witnessing, they're witnessing events that happened years ago, but right in front of their eyes. But it happened years ago.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, you're right. I think I watched the documentary and they were saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, like this, I think, and what's so interesting is how they've discovered universes, and like they've used these super powerful telescopes, but then there's a lot of like dust in space. And so to get through and to see, like they can see something's there, like a galaxy or something like that. But to see through that, they use like these X-ray, you know, type lenses or goggles or infrared or something like that, to then merge that with the two. So it's super interesting how they've pieced together what they assume or what they believe is this our cosmos. And as you say, it's light years away, like between one end to the other. Like we couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah.
And it feels like an infinite amount of time. And then there's more than one universe. It is. It's truly. But endless. where does everything go? Where does that black hole go? That's what I want to know.
I was listening to something today about this stuff, right? And they said, imagine the black hole is like a chimney, for example, a chimney on a house. You know, so the house is the space which is governed by time and space and distance and stuff. And then air comes in to the house, and then it all funnels into the chimney and then out. But it funnels out into a place where space and time is irrelevant. So it's like, effectively, they're trying to describe what a black hole does. You know, so when it's getting sucked, when things are getting sucked into it, it's getting sucked into a place. I don't even know if it's a place, but somewhere where time and space is irrelevant. So it might not exist. It's just like you get sucked into non-existence.
Wow.
Oh, bro, I was listening to this thing like, oh shit, that's just out there.
All I'm saying is I hope that doesn't do anything crazy, because you know, if it goes, because I think stars get sucked in, right? Which are, you know, and then it causes this mad energy, you know, kind of like bubble. I don't know what happens, and that's just one star gone. So like, it's just like this Hoover, and I don't know how long it's going to take to get through everything, but it is just mind-boggling.
Well, then, you know, again, it's like, as much as things are, you know, black holes are sucking things away, you know, like stars explode, and then from the particles of this, they're kind of like new stars and stuff like that. So it's like it's never ending. It doesn't stop. It's never gonna stop. Well, I can't say never, but like our minds only work with time. Time is pretty much governs all of our thoughts. 100% of our thoughts. They're bound by time. Do you know what I mean? Like, so when talking about like space and out there in the universe, which potentially is not bound by time, it's impossible to really, picture or encapsulate. However, in my opinion, I think these are the conversations that have driven humanity. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it all in the end, it comes back to, all right, so what am I? What is my purpose? Like, I know this is all vast and I know this is all huge. And I like to contemplate with my friend or contemplate by myself and contemplate with whoever my connection to all of this, like everything that's going out there. How do I fit into this puzzle? Do you know what I mean? And I think those conversations that you may have with yourself and with friends, they definitely drive kind of like the kind of innovative thoughts that's probably how science was born. Do you know what I mean? And I think actually this is within us, a human instinct to want to like look out there into the sky, like it's almost like instinctual. If you was in a field and it was dark and it was late, but you felt safe, it's kind of instinctual to look up. Do you know what I mean? Into the sky, and then like you look up into the sky and you see how vast it is, and then you kind of look back down and you're like, wow, always mesmerized, just thinking, whoa, this is crazy.
This is crazy. but I mean, like it goes way back, to civilization and the Voyagers and Mayans and all these kind of like civilizations, which kind of they had these star gods and these other like things. And they were looking up more than us, because we look down at our phones now these days. But they were looking up thinking, where am I? What, which direction am I going? They don't have TomTom. And so I feel like they were more in tune with what life is, where their position is, etc. Their appreciation of the stars in the galaxy and all that, I feel, was a lot more than us. I think a lot of the names of the stars and stuff like that came from them.
Well, I think
those times.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right, but I think potentially our connection to these things now is a lot more scientific, whereas the connection then would be more spiritual, which could then say, we could then maybe conclude that had more of a powerful effect on those people because there was a spiritual connection. Whereas now it's like, if we look that way, science has told us that is the North Star. So, we don't have to think about how we feel about the North Star. So we don't name the North Star. It's already been named by science. It's a star. It's in the North. There you go. Whereas, civilizations, Mayans, Aztecs, Egyptians, they had their own process, which is still a science, not modern science, obviously, but which is still their science for working out, how, we fit as a species into this whole kind of life puzzle. And, for me personally, this is what brings my, question about God in this. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, this is what we just described is so mind-boggling. It's too mind-boggling. Like I can't picture a black hole. I don't know. I can't imagine what that is, and I can't imagine that there's lots of them. And I can't even imagine what a universe consists of. I can just think of galaxies, stars, planets, but there's lots of like dark matter. There's all sorts of stuff going on, right? So then how could I, as a human, conceive what created all of this? Do you know what I mean? Like my brain is not, if I can't conceive what this all is, then how could I conceive the thing that created all of this? It's not, it's my brain isn't,
it doesn't add up.
Yeah, my brain's not designed for that. It doesn't work that way. But you know, I can. You know, people can make it up. You know, like you could easily say that God is the connection between that, all that, and you. You know, like sure, you could say that. But you know, again, like this is the looking up kind of brings those questions.
Yeah, I think also like what will be interesting is like, you know, God is this concept, right? Almost, and so it also, you know, a name of God is creator, and so imagine there was to be one day this guy that's like comes down on like this crazy fancy jet and says, "Hey guys, look, I'm your creator, I'm your God." Who would believe him? Because he could be the creator. Like this other being on this other like planet says, "Hey, you know, how you doing? I've created you. Like this, you know, my people."
Yeah.
Like, will people say, "Hey, you know, you're the man.
What would it take?
You're the man."
All right. What would it take for you to believe him, or it even? What would it take you to believe it?
Oh, I would. I mean, I'll put it pretty likely if this guy could travel light years, yeah, like, then I'm like, okay, this guy's got something to say. Like he's got some powers that we don't have.
But look, he's only saying he can. Like what? How do you, like what would make you believe him?
Oh, like if he jumps on this like spaceship again and goes off and then comes back, like he needs to take a couple of trips, and he needs to bring back stuff that he needs to bring back stuff that I'm like, you know, that's proven it. Or he can take people on a trip with him.
What's to say that it's just not another alien? It could just be another alien that has got a spaceship.
Yeah, that's fine. But like, if he's claiming that he's a creator, then he must have some sort of like history about what creator is.
Potentially,
maybe.
But I mean, yeah.
Or he's just like, you know what, you guys, game's over. You know, you've had your fun. Beams everyone up, and we all go to, you know, planet X.
Yeah. I think part of it is that, you know, number one, I think most people want to see him destroy something like quick, like.
What do you mean?
To prove that you are who you say you are, I want you to do this, and then like, I don't know, that mountain just disappears or something. Do you know what I mean? Like some type of magic, you know?
You want to see magic?
I want to see magic.
I mean, if the guy's got a spaceship that's traveling light years speed, I think he could do some magic.
Yeah. He might be able to do some magic. And then for me to believe it, I should keep saying, I'll say, all right, look, boom. For me, you have to take me to all of these places. I can't die in transit. Yeah, you have to protect me from dying in transit. I want to see all these places, and I want you to answer all of my questions. And then by the time we come back, I think I'll be convinced.
I'll believe you.
I'll believe you. Like, take me to all these places. Show me how you created some of this stuff as well. I might not ask you to show me how you created all of it. Just show me how you created some of it. You know, and then I'll be like, all right, you got a good case.
Yeah, but imagine this thing trying to prove himself to everyone. You know, like, because all these different. Like religions, they all like, oh yeah, but you know, in my religion it says that you could do this. You know, what does it say? And this guy might be like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, this is your, I didn't give you this book. What are you talking about?
He'd be like, no, this is the wrong book, cuz. Great, this one ages ago. Oh, I got destroyed. Oh, seen. Oh, that's why you lot believe in all this stuff. Hey man, who knows, but it's all, at the end of the day, it's all life, you know. And I think sometimes we are like, I think we're so obsessed as a species, not individually, just as a species. I think we're so obsessed with ourselves. Do you know what I mean? We're so obsessed with, you know, what does life look like through human eyes, as opposed to what is life. Do you know what I mean? And there's a ton of stuff that we don't see that is life, you know. And You know, I think there's enough aliens on this planet. There's aliens everywhere. I see aliens everywhere, bro. Sounds crazy. See aliens.
Okay.
But it's because I'm not looking with my eyes. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking with my mind almost. It's like if I look at this like vast landscape of water, dude, there's some shit down there that I got no one ain't seen that. I guarantee you ain't no one seen what that is. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, the deep depths of water.
Yeah. That deep down.
Deep. Yes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of shit no one ain't seen down there. Do you know what I mean? Those are aliens. Because look, there's humans that call other humans aliens. Americans, you know, they got this term alien.
Yeah.
You know, if you're from another country, you're an alien.
I think Trump referred to Mexicans as aliens.
Yeah, but Americans do that, and they've been doing that for quite some time. Sorry, Americans, but they've been doing that for quite some time, and that's just to people that they don't recognize on what is it, like a kind of residential scale, kind of like, you know, we don't recognize your locality or we don't recognize your legal status in this country, so you're an alien. So then how could you then say, oh, I don't believe in aliens if you're calling other people aliens? Just go to the water, bruv. There's bare aliens there then, if that's the case, you know? And then, you know, the next question is, you know, how do we know we're not the aliens? We might be the aliens, you know? It might be us that's the aliens, and there was something here very happily before, or maybe in anguish before, and now we're here with them, you know? And you know, it's all vast, bro. It's all vast.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, of course, the first alien was Adam and Eve, of course. Of course. You know,
and you know,
thanks to them.
You know, the craziest thing about that story, you know, I remember reading Genesis one day because I just thought, let me just read this book. And I remember reading Genesis one day, and it said, you know, there's Adam and Eve, right? They you know, they do their thing. And then they have Cain and Abel, their children, you know? And then Cain or Abel, one of the two, they go off and they find a wife. It's like, how? Where did the wife come from, cuz? Where did this wife come from? There was Cain, Abel,
really?
Adam and Eve. Bro, go read it. It's like I was reading this and I was like, wait a sec, I've missed something, because I don't know how, you know, Cain or Abel goes off to find this wife, because like these guys have only had 2 kids, fam.
So it went from Adam to Eve, Cain and Abel, and then there's a big gap.
There's new people, bro. There's just new people. they were just there. They're just chilling.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, could be wrong. Who knows? But look, man, let's wrap this one up. You know, again, another great podcast. Love doing them.
Of course.
Yeah, man. Any final thoughts?
The future's bright. The universe is big. Stay frosty. Stay foolish.
Do that.
Yeah, stay very frosty.
Do that.